Alright, it's recording. So, this is part 2 of the Arduino Laser Tag system. And what I've got going on here, it's not plugged in yet. You can run it off of a 9-volt battery or USB power, either way. Before the video I had going, I had one Arduino board, and the input to the Arduino board was hooked up to the computer. So we were using the serial monitor on the computer to input values, such as player names and when you got hit and when you wanted to hit things, whatever. That's been changed up a bit. The code is still very ugly, but it's workable, and at some point I'll go in and clean it up, or any of you want to fork it, it's on GitHub. You can clean up the code. It's pretty rudimentary how it works. It's still using the same concept with the lookup table and characters. So the advantage to using ASCII characters are that ASCII characters are in... If we do just 255, we can do it in 4 bits, which is half of a byte. Or if you want to do the full ASCII table, which is more players than we'd ever need, but we could actually do, an 8-bit value for players. So if we use like ASCII codes, it actually makes it kind of convenient for the coding and also for the player space that we have. But there is a better solution. I just haven't thought of it yet and coded it up. So that's up to you. Now, basically what I have here is I have half of each system for each one, because I don't have 2 LCDs, I don't have 2 buzzers, and I don't have 2 buttons. These 4-terminal buttons are like a penny a piece, but I only have one of them. So basically what I've got going on here, this board here is going to be the receiver board, basically. So this board is going to get hit by this board. These are basically 2 players, because each gun will have one Arduino board in it. So this gun gets hit, and this gun is hitting things. I also have it set up so when it powers on, this gun also supplies player names here. So basically what's going to happen when I plug it into a 9-volt battery or with power source with USB, during a game, it would run off something like this, a 9-volt, which just connects with the regular, connector in here. And because it's the deux it automatically switches power. So I can plug in this with 9-volt and then plug in USB, and I'll switch to USB because it has, greater current or whatever. So that's how those work. When I power on, basically, the board will ask for a list of players. And that's going to be the straight ASCII string of all players. Each player name is 7 characters long. That's just ugly code that hasn't been made nice yet. So this one's going to input all that player name to the Arduino board. And then it'll start the game. So everything that happens on this board will be printed out to this LCD. So we will power up. And there's a delay set up, so this automatically sends the player strings, right? And this button here is a trigger to fire the gun. So I'll show firing the gun on here just so you see what's on the LCD, so we know that it's working. And what's going to happen is when I fire this Arduino board is going to pick a random player to fire at this Arduino board. And this Arduino board is going to get that character, and it's going to display on the LCD who hit you. Another cool thing, when you get hit, it will also buzz, just because that was quick and easy, and I felt like putting it in there. And, yeah. So, I've also got a player trigger here. This right here is my button that I don't have, so I'm manually putting it high and low values. An interesting thing about this 4-terminal device, I spent 10 minutes because I forgot basic circuits, and I put basically a snub diode in here when it should have been a resistor. But that's that circuit. So I'll power it on. So you can see it starts input players. So this Arduino board is waiting for serial input. And as you see, it's scrolling by. This Arduino board just sent in a huge string of player names. Now it's reading off all the players that were input into the system. And it's player 0 through player F. I just shorted out the board here. So we'll start that over. You got to be careful not to short things out because things will mess up. So input players, and that splash screen is configurable. So it could say Arduino Laser Tag, and that's just adding a little bit to the code. That's actually going to be written into firmware on the LCD display, so it powers up every time and says that. It also has adjustable brightness, which is now set to full. So we read up through player F, which is 16 players for the game. It tells us that we're starting the game. Now this Arduino here will be listening for hits, basically. It also has a gun status. When you fire your gun, it has a recharge period when you can't fire your gun. So we'll press this button and we'll get hit. And as you hear, it plays a tone out of here. That's just coming out of pulse width modulation pin on the Arduino. And we got hit by player E, which happened to be Zachary. And our random number generator sucks, so we got hit by the same guy again. Now we're hit by Adelard, or however that name's said. Yeah, so then we can take our gun, and we can send our info and hit someone. And as you see, the gun is charging, and I can't fire while the gun's charging. But if I leave it in there, as soon as the gun is ready, we'll send our info again. So now you see the gun is charging, and we can put it back down to state 0, which is not hitting the trigger. Basically, this game will keep going. Things that need to be implemented still are score counters, and at the end of the game, we need to have a control character that says that the game, or a timer rather, or something that indicates the game's over. We have to figure out what's going to indicate game over, and then be able to upload that information again. But that's that. Right now, this is just the basic back-end system of it. And this wire right here represents what will be the laser beam, basically. This is a straight serial connection, just very, very rudimentary serial connection with just crossover pair, basically. And this right here is going to have to actually feed out to an emitter circuit that's going to have a receiver circuit here to feed in here, and then the same vice versa. But that's your Arduino Laser Tag system, and it'll run forever. And it's kind of cool now that I have the battery, because I can plug in a battery and I can unplug USB, and the little board will travel with me wherever I go. But that's the system right now. All code is up on GitHub. My name is Jadedoto on GitHub, so Jadedoto. Look for Arduino Laser Tag system, and you'll find it up there.